What is up, SMT Nation? It is good to have you back for this edition of the SMT YouTube channel. Today we're talking T-Mobile and Verizon home internet options. I think what we're going to be seeing in the I'd say probably like the next year, possibly 2 years, is an up-and-coming renaissance to home wireless and fixed wireless options for customers. Something that hasn't been able to really take off for wireless providers is home internet because the bandwidth just isn't there. The spectrum assets aren't there. The infrastructure isn't there. They could not pull this off until now. Now it's a possibility, and I'll explain why and how this is likely going to play out. And I'll be looking actually for some of your feedback, where you stand as a customer, if this is a viable option for you. Let's first start with Verizon and Spectrum Auction 105. So the reason I want to start with Verizon is that Verizon is expected to be involved in this auction in a big way. It just completed. We're getting a lot of insight from different analysts and media partners, Lightshed being one of those groups. They expect a 40 megahertz acquisition, mostly on a national scale, mostly national, not fully national, but mostly. Quote, Verizon is highly incentivized to do so, and they are expecting an amount of $2.7 billion to be spent by the big red carrier on Spectrum Auction 105, which we're talking about mid-band spectrum here, 3.5 gigahertz, very similar in terms of propagation characteristics to what, T-Mobile has with 2.5. Obviously, the frequency a little higher, maybe the propagation not as good, and obviously the power not as high, but it could really help a company like Verizon, who already has a very dense network, lots of tower sites. They could deploy this on a grand scale. So the auction itself generated $4.5 billion, 40 megahertz of the 70 megahertz being possible in ownership and operation for a carrier like Verizon. And, the spectrum could and should be utilized for all different types of applications. And they're pushing the issue in home applications. So spending-wise, Verizon is expected to spend about $30 billion in spectrum over the next year. All right, there's 2 or 3 auctions. C-band is going to be a big piece of this, the 3.7 gigahertz. There's 280 megahertz of that spectrum. That's going to be a big one. The CBRS actually has 3 tiers to its operation. The incumbents get the top priority. Then there's the GAA portion, which is unlicensed. Any carrier can use this portion. And then you throw in the licensed part, which is the PALs for this 3.5 gigahertz access. And Verizon, could have 40 megahertz of this essentially. So 40 megahertz licensed, along with 60 or 80 megahertz of the unlicensed, you have huge capacity potential. So CBRS is being linked to home internet in a big way for Verizon. I'm not sure exactly what it is that, Lightshed knows about what Verizon wants to do with this, but on a county level, you could see an entire large segment of a county where people could be served with Verizon home internet utilizing CBRS. This would be great, right? We could definitely use that option. For a lot of people. There are millions of people out there with either poor, unreliable, slow home internet with lack of options. This would bring another option to the table for people to choose from and put more pressure on home cable providers to improve their service, improve their pricing, and just offer a better product as a whole. Now let's take this over to the T-Mobile side. So the big news yesterday, we did the podcast with Carlos. T-Mobile home internet, the product, the service is really struggling to take off. Even those that are currently using it are reporting buffering video, poor speed performance, and active deprioritization throughout different times of the day. Users are also complaining to customer care about these issues. And we've got Tier 1 is kind of like Tier 1 customer care. They're the first responders to this. And then Tier 2, obviously second level. They're trying to work through this. They're being told that customers are experiencing high levels of deprioritization as early as 30 gigs of monthly usage. This is clearly a premature, point compared to what a heavy user designation is on even something like a Magenta plan, where, the Magenta plan is set the language after 50 gigs of usage. You could be subject to deprioritization and network management. That's a small percentage of users that may experience these slower speeds at times of heavy network strain. So to add insult to injury, speeds are not really restoring for some people. People are saying that even after tower congestion should be alleviated, that they're still being deprioed. So essentially they're being throttled. The worst part about all this is that T-Mobile employees have been strictly and explicitly told, do not engage home internet customers in talks about deprioritization on the service. They are telling them to send them to C2 T-Mobile home internet queues or home internet team. So it's a do not discuss with customers type of thing. So if customers are coming into T-Mobile stores or calling in to standard customer care, they're not going to discuss that deprio with you. They're going to send you to a specified team to deal with the issue. I'm guessing they have a unique script, something written out to explain what's going on there. But I just want to make something very clear. What people have to understand about T-Mobile's home internet, the resources are still not there to the point where they can actually do this effectively. Without 2.5 gigahertz deployed on a large scale, there's no way they're going to be able to offer any substantial type of experience. So right now they've got T-Mobile home internet set at 50 megabits per second as the standard. Customers aren't even really seeing this. They're getting deprioed. They're, dealing with slower speeds throughout multiple times of the day for extended periods of time. If that's the case, this service is not going to help a lot of people. It's essentially a mobile hotspot if it's going to operate at less than 50 megabits per second. And that's not even asking for much. Home internet, typically it's 100 megabits per second, 200, 300. We know fiber can get you up at a gig or more, symmetrical and things like that. They just don't have the network deployment yet to support this type of a connection. And you can't just even put like one tower site with 2.5 gigahertz and tell an area, yeah, try our home internet service. You're going to have a great experience. You need clusters. As engineering has described it to me, you need clusters of towers that could support the demands of a large metropolitan area and so on. So until, and this is what you have to track. If you potentially want to get involved and try T-Mobile's home internet service, do track the 2.5 gigahertz network deployment. Once that becomes deployed at a large scale or available in a region, that's when you should start considering T-Mobile home internet. Until then, you're going to see situations like this where speeds are deprioritized and the network experience is going to be, less than stellar, inconsistent at best. So stay away from T-Mobile home internet until they get that 2.5 gigahertz rolled out on a large scale, wherever they're going to have that service. And, with this other piece, with the Verizon piece, with Spectrum Auction 105, they essentially could be putting their hat into the home wireless option where they don't have 5G and millimeter wave. And of course, we've got C-band up and coming, so there's more to come. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. The voice of the people, the SMT Nation, let your voice be heard. Tell me about your thoughts on Verizon and what they could potentially be doing with home internet with these new Spectrum licenses they have out of CBRS, and tell me what you think about the T-Mobile home internet solution option and how people are experiencing it. Maybe you have experience with it and you've been seeing this. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you all for taking this opportunity to watch the SMT YouTube channel. If you appreciated this video and found it informative, please do rate this video, give it a thumbs up, share it to all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new, first time here, consider subscribing, activate that bell notification icon so you never miss an upload from the SMT. And do check out some of the links in the description box. There's ways to donate. We have the link to the SMT Patreon page, the Twitter handle at SneedTech, where we also do Periscope Lives. And here are some other videos that I did hand select for you all to check out if you're not ready to leave the SMT YouTube channel just yet. Anyways, again, thank you for being here to watch. I am the SMT. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.